You are watching or listening part 3 with Michael Felsen, a lawyer by profession and a civil servant. I would add that he's a wonderful human being because he believes and works for justice for all. I would like you to watch or listen to part 1 and 2 of this series to get a full context about our conversation. However, you are welcome to go in either order. If you like this episode, then press the like button and share with your family and friends. Please do visit my website lightupwithShua.com and leave a comment or two. And if you have a question about this podcast or any inquiry about my upcoming digital programs and retreats, then please do let me know and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Enjoy what Michael has to say about parenting, gratitude, meaning of wealth, and so much more, and especially what lights him up.
Very interested in is that area.
So would you give any suggestion to parents from your experience that you felt that you were successful with your children in communicating, or you feel that they have achieved something, and where is the what's the good what were your habits or practices that made them into that person that you feel good about it, and some challenges that you felt and can suggest other parents or younger parents who are upcoming that they can avoid with their children?
Well, I mean, I guess the thing that pops to my mind, sort of most prominently is to, I think I aspired to at least model the kind of human being that I would hope that they would become. In other words, try to be the best person that I could be, with them and with just in the world. And that's, if you're a parent, they're going to tend to see you're a pretty important human being in their lives, and hopefully they draw something, from that. I think, but, I mentioned earlier, Shua, that, I think of myself as my mission in life is to solve problems, right?
Yes. Yes.
And, one of the things that was very humbling and extremely illuminating to me was realizing that, each of my kids, like every other human being, are their own person. They're wired in whatever way they are, and they come into the world, being their own unique human being. And sometimes parents will try to do their best to change a behavior, or make their kids happier if they're feeling sad or whatever. And sometimes you can't do that, and, in particular with one of my children, but, with all of them. I mean, I going into it thinking, well, if it's a problem, I can take care of that. Don't worry, really? All right, let's, well, when I learned that was not the case, it was a huge learning experience for me. And as I say, very humbling, but really important in my own development, And when I let go of some of the need to try to solve the problems, I think that was better for my children. I mean, I think we really want to instill in them the sense that it's really ultimately their life. They need to make the decisions. They need to figure out how to. I mean, we can shine the way as best we can and say, this is what I would recommend, but at the end of the day, we cannot, hold our hands on them and say, this is what you're going to do. It doesn't work that way.
Okay. So let them make mistakes, don't keep paving every path they walk on.
And don't assume that you can solve every problem, because you can't.
Yes. Because they will have their own set of problems and you are not the right person, maybe. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Very good. That's very important, because it touches everything. Because once we try to rescue our kids all the time and try to fix this and fix that, and basically you make them impractical. You don't let them face the reality, and they are unable to solve any problem, actually. And you are not going to be there, and you and I are not going to be there all the time. So who is going to come and rescue them? So that's a very big mistake. Is that in culturally in Jewish culture? Because I find that in some traditional cultures that we do it too. I mean, for our children, you do the best and you give everything and all that and this, and it's hard to see them making mistakes, and it's hard to see them, falling down, whether they are little or when they are adults.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's funny that you asked that question, because the thing that pops into my head, and I was just going to mention that my wife and I have been watching a TV show made in Israel, actually, called Judicial, which is about, it's a family drama of an ultra-Orthodox family. And it's excellent. It's really good. It's all with subtitles. I mean, I highly recommend it. You would. I mean, I recommend it to anybody. I mean, you don't have to be Jewish at all.
Right, of course.
To appreciate it, because I'm not an ultra-Orthodox person. Obviously, it's a completely foreign, culture in a lot of ways. But to your point, yes, the father figure in this is extremely. He's telling the kid who he should marry, and all these other things about how it should be. But on the other hand, it's not as simple as any of that. And I think many cultures are like that. The parents know everything, and
they know better because they've lived. And I have questioned that, and I keep telling the children and the parents, I said, well, doesn't matter how similar you think, just because they are your children. They are born in different time zone and different time space of this the geography and history of this world, and nothing is the same, and they have to make their own decisions. We have to let them make their own decisions. I think that's one of the major things also. It's part of all that, what you just said, like let them make their own decisions. It's okay if it's wrong. Let them face that.
And help them to be courageous about it.
Yes.
They're going to make mistakes, and it's going to be scary sometimes.
Yes.
But step into the breach, like what's the worst thing that can happen?
Yes, exactly. And that's where I would come, and I know you wouldn't go with that, but I would like to bring that. That's where I leave it on the higher power, that I am not that God. I don't have to play God all the time. I don't have to control everything. I can let it go. I can do the best I want to for my children and for us, and then leave it. Because you don't have to, be that.
And so in a way, right, you have the sort of, the comfort of feeling that there's a higher power that's overlooking everything. So you do the best you can. Because obviously, given the idea of a higher power, you can't give up your own agency, your own responsibility.
Exactly.
To act to be the best human being that you can, right?
Exactly.
And once you are the best human being that you can, you say, I've done my best. Now it's in the hands of the higher power. Admittedly, I don't have that. In other words, when I say I've done the best I can, and I say it's now in your hands, and I hope for all the best,
and then that's it. You stop there. Exactly. And that's fine. And that works for you. That's fine. And I'm glad that works for you. But for me, I do that, and also there's another piece.
Believe me, I'm glad it works for you.
Exactly.
There's no judgment at all.
Oh, of course, no. That's the beauty of our conversation, and that's why I brought it, because I was like, okay, this is the place I cannot say this with my many Muslim counterparts. They might think, oh, you're being. No, if I don't say maybe some other stuff, or I say, well, it's okay if somebody doesn't believe in that, and they will be like, no, this is the only way. I'm like, no, this is what I have understood, or you have understood, right? So let it be that way. But what I wanted to say was also that there is a consequence, and it is very scientific, what I believe also, because that's what I learned from my faith. It is not all voodoo or this and the other. It's not magical. Everything has a consequence. My thought process, even those thoughts that you don't know or I don't know of you, has a consequence.
That's right.
Because it's in our system. Yeah. All right. So before I come to my last leg of questions, how are we doing, Michael? Are you okay? How is everything going? Did you like our discussion so far?
I am delighted with our discussion, Shua.
Thank you.
It's always been a pleasure, and it continues to be a pleasure to have conversations.
Thank you. Same here. And that's why I was like, I haven't had any lawyer yet. I mean, I had, but not nobody like you. So, uh, so I need to have a lawyer on my podcast.
Well, you keep putting me in that little bucket, and I told you that's not my main identity.
Well, yes, no, you're not. He has a lot of identities, and Michael is not just an advocate or a lawyer. Of course, people who are listening to you will know that definitely.
I understand.
Yes, he's a father.
Very important.
Do you like to identify as a father, as a husband, as a good colleague, as a I really liked when you said you want to be identified as a civil servant, and that is so important. That
Mm-hmm.
is very important. So
Mm-hmm.
thank you for that.
Sure.
And you are still continuing, so that is very good. I thought you retired and you're just sleeping and not doing much about anything.
Not sleeping much at all.
Oh,
There's not enough hours in the day is really what it comes down to.
Do you find yourself busier than before?
Yeah, in a lot of ways, because I don't even stop on the weekends.
Oh, wow.
I mean, another thing that I do is I write opinion pieces, op-eds for newspapers, and that's kind of that's always on the back of my mind. Okay, what should I be writing about next? And there are always things come up that are important. And I just wrote one on Saturday, so it's.
Oh, so you're a regular contributor to that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have I have a lot of pieces that have been published in the Hill, which is a Washington D.C. newspaper, and also the Progressive I've published a number of things. Something just last week. Those are two of the main papers.
So the ones you mentioned, which I saw on LinkedIn, are in the Hill, right?
The Hill, yeah. Mm-hmm. And I used to write more about Israel-Palestine issues for about 10 years. I wrote about those and had many things in the Jerusalem Post and in Haaretz, those Israeli papers, but also something called Common Ground News Service, which was syndicated and sent their stuff all over the world. So I was actually published in the Cairo Times and in the Lebanon Star.
Interesting.
And that really was very gratifying because, to be, and in India, a number of different publications in India and in Indonesia.
Wow.
So that was.
So you're a writer, huh?
I do write columns. Yeah.
Yeah.
That seems to be something.
Maybe a book is coming up?
No, it could be a compilation of what I've written about. But no, for about 10 years, I wrote about Palestinian rights and the right of the Palestinian people to have their own state and all that kind of stuff. I mean, over and over. Yeah. I mean, I probably have 10 different op-eds in the Jerusalem Post and so, and also about Jewish-Muslim relations too. Yeah.
So do you get critique from Jewish side of people?
Well, it's funny that you ask that. That's a great lead in for a comment that I can give you, which is the first time, like when I went to Israel and the West Bank, now it's about 15 years ago, I guess, with a group from Workers Circle. About 15 of us went, and the last stop on our trip was in Jerusalem, and we met with something called the Geneva Initiative, which is basically Israelis and Palestinians who came together and said, this is the way we can solve the problem, and it was very, very, significant thing that they did. So we said, what can we do to help? We're feeling very distressed about what we saw in the West Bank and how terrible, conditions are. What can we do to help? And the woman said, well, write letters to the editor and op-eds. And I had never written an op-ed, before in my life. Right. So, I took that seriously because, I know how to write. So I thought, all right, write my first op-ed. So I wrote my first op-ed about basically, listening to the Palestinian narrative, that we have to listen to both narratives. Yes, we listen to the Israel, but we have to listen to the Palestinian. This is the way, blah, 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 the way forward. And it ended up getting published in the Jerusalem Post. And, these newspapers have these, talk back, like response things, right? So I'm reading the responses and they're not very favorable. Jerusalem Post is right of center, newspaper. And they're not so great. And then I get to about the 25th post. And what it says is, It says, I am a rabbi in a settlement in the West Bank. And if Israel was a real country, Felsen would be hanged. So I said, you know what? After that one, I'm not reading these anymore.
Yes, that's what I have heard also. Some people say, don't read the comments.
So I literally, I mean, I've written dozens and dozens of op-eds. I never read the comments.
Oh, okay. Good idea.
You know,
good idea.
Everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Yeah, exactly. And you can't please anybody, not everybody.
But that answered your question. I mean, certainly there are a lot of Jewish people who, in particularly in Israel or right of center Jewish people in the United States who don't exactly agree with me. Let's put it that way.
Right. No, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. All right, Michael, let's come to last leg of questions. What is wealth in your experience?
Wealth?
Yes, wealth.
Wealth is having the privilege of being alive, and experiencing what that is, and all of the richness that brings, of course, including family and friends and community and nature and diversity in the world. The fact that there's so many, again, fascinating mysteries to ponder,
That's true.
That to me is wealth.
Wonderful. So what is the value of gratitude in your life?
I think the value of gratitude is, to me, what it signifies is not taking anything for granted. Being conscious always of, again, the wondrous mystery of having the ability to be alive, which will not last forever. And as with each passing year, I'm very aware that COVID brought it home, obviously, particularly.
Yes.
And it's particularly significant for those of us who don't think we're going to be living after we die.
Yes.
So it's a very immediate gift, and worth valuing greatly while we have it, and worth trying to make every minute count and do the best we can with every minute.
Yes, that's so true. Thank you. Very good. So the value of time must be a lot for you.
Yeah, there's just not enough of it.
Okay.
I feel very, very. I feel that time is very well used in my life.
Okay.
Or, I mean, not always well used. Sometimes I could do something better with my time, but it's all the minutes get used, and I feel very busy. And for now, as I say, I'm grateful for that I can.
I'm very grateful for your time and for you taking out time and being here. Really, thank you so much. I know you are a very busy man and you have a lot to do, but this makes me feel good that, okay, this is important and you gave this time. Otherwise, you have 10 million things to do, so you wouldn't be here otherwise.
As I said, Shua, it's been a privilege, and I'm happy to spend this time with you.
Thank you so much.
This is what I would call time very well spent.
Yes. Very, very, very rich discussion we had so far. Very nice. So do you think that you have found a purpose in your life?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I think.
Or you're still looking for it?
Well, no, I feel like my path has been pretty consistent my entire adult life. I don't feel like I've changed very much at all. I think I've always aspired to try to be as good a human being as I can be, and to contribute to make the world a better place in whatever way I can. And that continues to be my purpose. Is
that's good.
Try to help
solve problems.
Well, and help make the world a more just and equitable place, and all those kinds of things, and help people to respect one another regardless of what they believe, what they look like, what they eat, how they dance. I mean, just, appreciating all of our differences, and fostering mutual appreciation, so that we all can just appreciate one another rather than find reasons to be angry at one another.
Excellent. Any message of hope that you would like to give today?
I would say the main message to me is how inspiring our youth are. I'm sure you hear that, from lots of people. I mean, the hope is not with old codgers like me anymore. My usefulness is limited, but the young people have great passion for causes, beyond themselves. They really care, about other human beings. I think they're a generation that's much more accepting and embracing of difference, than even my generation and your generation. My generation being the children of the 60s, we were better than the previous generation, for sure. But so I think there's lots of reason to be hopeful. We just need to deal with climate change quickly enough so that they can. And which when I say we, including them, of course, because they're among the leaders in doing that, as we know.
Yes. Okay. So my last question is to you: what lights you up?
This conversation has lit me up, Shua.
Oh, that's such a compliment. That's so nice. Thank you so much.
Well, just having the chance to kind of think about what do we believe in, what's important to us in our lives, that certainly has helped. Lots of other things light me up, the twinkle in my grandchildren's eyes, my relationships with, my family, my wife, my circle of friends, my community, nature, being just out there at one with nature. Wonderful. On a long hike, on a long walk. And I'll also say one other thing, gardening. I'm a big vegetable gardener. And that, some people go to church or mosque or the synagogue. I go to the garden.
Well, you are actually more closer to the nature, the creator.
No.
You are in. Your hands are in the soil. So
it's a very spiritual thing.
Yes,
gardening,
exactly.
A nurturing thing.
Yes.
And it's very. I love it. I've been doing it for many years.
I love it too, but I can't claim that because I always wanted to do that, but I am always short of time, and I go and do a little bit here and there, and then I'm like, oh, the vegetables are going to die in winter, so I have to arrange something differently and all that. So yeah, I need to learn from you how you work with your garden and vegetable gardens. Well, do you do vegetables or?
I do many vegetables. Yeah, a big plot of a community garden, and
nice.
I guess part of the message with gardening, as I say, it's kind of like parenting. And just like with parenting, you have to learn to let go of control, the feeling that you can control everything, because the same is true in the garden. Those bugs are going to come whether you like it or not.
Those weeds and bugs and
the rabbits are going to eat your carrots whether you like it or not. So you try to you work with that. You figure out how to accommodate their needs, but also dealing with what you.
That's so true. That's so true. A person like you, I have so many other questions. I wanted to ask you more. So I think I will have to write to you and get written questions and read those. Or maybe fix another time sometime when you have time.
I'm happy to do a follow-up sometime.
Wonderful. That's so good. Thank you so much, Michael, for this. And being who you are with all these hats that you wear, anything you want to say before you go?
I think I've said more than enough. As you can tell, I'm not one to have a loss for words. The only thing I would say is that, as I said before, this has been a very enjoyable time with you, as has always been whenever we've spoken. Yes. And I wish you all the best with your project here. It's a great project, and spreading the word of mutual understanding and diversity and just fellowship with whatever people feel they connect to, whether
Yes.
it's people or higher powers or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So it's been my pleasure and my honor and privilege to be your guest today.
Thank you so much. Same here. The feeling is mutual. And I wish you have a nice, wish you the best with your day, and have a wonderful walk with your life partner. Would like to ask more about her sometime.
There's always follow up. There's
yes.
plenty more stories.
Yes, yes. I think that would be nice to do some series with you, and it can be useful for maybe some people to learn from your experience and all that you have worked and served. So thank you so much. And especially on Israel and Palestinian issue, you can maybe shed a light that we can all learn from. And you have been there. So I hope to go one day and visit all those areas. So thank you so much again for your time.
Yep.
Wish you all the best.
Thank you,
and hope to talk to you soon.
Okay.